Hello there. This is Craig Hane, or Dr. Dale, as my students call me. And I have written a book called How and Why Public School Math is Destroying the USA. And this is a book that I think everybody should read if they're at all interested in math education in the United States. And it's a bit of a hyperbole, destroying the USA, but it's certainly keeping it from being what it could be, that's for sure. And that's what I mean by destroying its potential of what it could be. Now, this book is available to you on Amazon for less than $5, but you can also get a free PDF copy, and I'm going to show you how to do that on my website. And there's 5 parts to the book, and this is going to be a video on part 3. Now, there's videos on all 5 of the parts, so you can watch the other parts if you want to, and I'll sort of halfway assume you've watched at least part 2, and this will be part 3. And it's really the one that really explains to you what's wrong with public school math is part 4. But this is giving you the story of what led up to it. People want to know, well, how did this all come about? How did you figure this out? How did you learn all this? What had happened? And I think as an author of a book, you should entitled to know that. So that's why I included it. So I'm going to share the screen now with you and go to my personal website, which is craighane.com. You know that if you watched the other parts already. And there's a lot of free stuff on this website. You know all about it. I talk about it in my other part, a video library, a lot of free books. If you know a young adult wants to improve their life, they want to click on that. There's a way to do that today with the Triad Math Tribe. But what you're going to do as far as this video goes is click that says free ebooks. And when you do that, you'll go here to where there are a bunch of free ebooks. There's a bunch of free PDF copies of various books I've written. And this is the Public School Math Destroying the USA, How and Why. And you click on that, and here's your free PDF. Now, you can buy this book on Amazon for less than $5 if you want a hard copy, which I think you probably would want to ultimately, especially if you want to take notes in it and that sort of thing. But here's a PDF copy of it. Now, I've already discussed parts 1 and parts 2 on other videos. And so this is going to be about part 3. And this is the evolution now of a solution that you'll learn about in part 5, but also then it gets you ready to understand what's wrong with public school math, which will be part 4. So what's this about? Well, there's only 4 chapters. It's not a real long, none of these chapters are very long, by the way. And the first thing I tell you how when I was a student, first starting in high school, my junior year, and then at Oberlin College, when I was in college, I tutored a lot of people. And I made a living tutoring people, made a lot of money, not a lot, but I made enough to help me get through college. And I developed what I call SPIKE pedagogy. Now, that's an acronym I made up, SPIKE, and I explain it in more detail in, I think, chapter 26. But this lets you know how this came about, my experience, both as a student and as a teacher. Now, math, a lot of people, well, what's it good for? Well, math is good for all sorts of things. When I was in college, because of math, I could take all the hardest courses in the various subjects, chemistry, physics, economics, philosophy, and the math has made them easier for me to do. And to me, college was an adventure, by the way. I went to college to have fun, to have an adventure, and I had lots of adventures, believe me. And I'll tell you about some of them in this book. I don't tell you about all of them, but a lot of them. But one of the adventures was going into a subject and taking its hardest course. And because of the math, I could do that. It also let me learn to make money doing other things like playing games, like poker and bridge. And math will help you be a better card player in subjects like poker and bridge. Then, when I graduated from Oberlin, I had an opportunity. It's amazing how these things come about, unexpected really, to teach one full year of math at a high school in Ohio near Oberlin College, Western Reserve High School in Wakeman, Ohio. And I got to teach all 4 years of math, algebra, geometry, trigonometry, and so on. It was a wonderful experience. And I tell that in chapter 17. And then I only did it for 1 year because I was on a 1-year temporary permit in Ohio to do it. And I loved it. It was my best teaching year of all and my worst in a way. And I explained that. Chapter 17, I think, will find very eye-opening. Then I came back to Greencastle. And I'd always communicated with my mentor there, Dr. Clint Gass. He's the one that got me into Oberlin College. He was the one I had for algebra when I was a senior in high school that I've told you about in previous chapter, previous part, and he asked me to teach at DePaul. Now, Oberlin College at that time was rated #1 in the country for liberal arts colleges, and it had a really good math department. And I had learned some advanced theoretical math at Oberlin that they weren't teaching at DePaul, and their professor didn't know it. And he had me come back then and teach things I had learned at Oberlin College to the DePaul math majors, their juniors and seniors, and a couple of professors. And so I was 22 years old, and here's a kid that had been told when he was a freshman in high school and a junior that he was never going to go to college. And now I'm 5 years later at age 22, I'm teaching at DePaul, their most advanced theoretical math. Now, the point I'm getting at is I'm not a genius. I'm not special. I was fortunate. I had 3 wonderful teachers that I tell about in the earlier parts. And that's the key to it. The key to learning math is to have a really, really good teacher. And now in part 5, I will tell you how with modern technology, today, I can be the great teacher for your students online via the internet, not in person, but through the technologies we have. And you'll learn about that in part 5. Part 5 today is mathematics the way it needs to be taught today in the 21st century. The public schools are not doing it yet. That's why I say they're destroying the USA. They're not doing what they should be able to do. Now, I'm going to explain to you what's wrong with public school math in detail in part 4. So if you want to know what's wrong with it, part 4 you definitely want to watch. If you just want to know what to do today for a great math education, go to part 5. There'll be the video on that. And that's really going to be the key thing that you're going to want to know if you have any students that you know that are studying math. So this is Craig Hane or Dr. Dell, and I appreciate your watching this video. I think you can probably read this entire book in a one sitting, a few hours, but you can certainly read part 5 in probably an hour or so and pretty much get what's in it. And then you'll know what to do. It gives you an action plan to go forward. You need an action plan. And how can a student learn math today the way it needs to be taught in the 21st century, almost for free? It's not free, but it can be in some cases. You'll learn that in part 5. Well, this is Craig Hane, Dr. Dell. I hope to see you on some other videos, at the very minimum, part 5 video. Have a great day. Bye-bye.